Whoa. Hello there. So, if you're watching this back, not live, later on, the Keegan Goals live Q&A is something that I do normally every week, every Thursday, at around this time. And it's a chance for you guys to ask me any questions you've got, and yeah, I'll answer them. So hi, if you're already in, welcome to the Keegan Goals live Q&A. Naimul, nice to meet you, mate. Hello. Hugh, yes, Hugh, how are you? Aaron, nice to see you. Will, nice to see you. Luca, nice to see you. As I was saying, normally I do this once a week. Last week I didn't, so apologies for that. But this week we do. Also, this week we have a question from a patron. Hello, Edwin, nice to see you. As you guys will know, if you become a patron, the link is in the description of all my videos, and you send me a question, I'll answer that before anyone else's. So today we have two questions from Lisa, who's a patron, and Lisa asks, one second, where are they? The first question is, what have you learned from yourself? What have you learned about yourself so far this season? And for me, I was thinking about this the other day. The biggest things that I've learned this year, I think 2 years ago when I first came to Spain, I learned a lot technically as a goalkeeper. Last year, when I was at Loughborough, I learned a lot tactically. The manager was very impressive with his tactics and he taught me a lot tactically. This year, I've learned a lot mentally. When I came to Spain, living in a house full of trialists, not knowing if I was going to get a contract, not knowing where I was going to live, whether I was going to live with my girlfriend or not knowing whether I was going to be number one, dealing with situations where, because it's a new club and things weren't up and running yet, dealing with situations that you would never normally deal with as a player, and things unfortunately I can't really talk about openly, but things that can be very difficult. For example, one game I was helping. One game I managed to forget my contact lenses before I played, so I had to ring a taxi in Spanish, get my contact lenses to the game, turned up a minute before kickoff, had to put them in on the pitch. Small little things like that. A lot of things have gone wrong this year, but I've learned a lot mentally in terms of how to deal with them and to still have a good game. A game in pre-season, just before the game I was getting in the minibus to go, a door got slammed on my hand, I had huge bruising across my fingers, and I was still trying to play for a contract. So I ended up having to just strap my fingers, play the game, had a brilliant game, got man of the match. These are the things that a year ago I would never have been able to do, and I learned a lot mentally in terms of how I adapt to situations which aren't ideal, but still enable myself to perform well to achieve what I want to achieve. So I think this year has taught me a lot in terms of how to mentally, regardless of what happens, be in control of what I can control and perform to the best of my ability. So that was the first question from Lisa. Second question, how do you feel about the new penalty rules applied this season in terms of goalkeeper movement? For me, it's funny because you see some penalties. Obviously, the penalty rule is that you're supposed to be in contact with the goal line when the penalty is taken. We're seeing some penalties with VAR get reviewed and have to be retaken because the keeper wasn't on his line. And then we see some penalties where they don't review it and he's miles off his line when the penalty's been taken. So I think the most frustrating thing for me is that they aren't consistent with the rule. But for me, I don't think it should really matter. I think it's difficult enough to save a penalty as it is. And if you're restricting people to staying on your line, if you've played in goal, you would know how difficult it is to stay on your line whilst the penalty is being taken and still make the save. So for me, I think they should just abandon that rule. Obviously, you can't take the mick and be miles off your line, but just let the penalty play. Don't worry about the VAR, and back to how it used to be. That's how I see it, really, because they're not really being consistent with it. So that was the first two questions. If you guys want to have your questions answered first on the Q&A before anyone else, become a patron at the Patreon page, which is linked in all my videos. So now I'm going to answer your guys' questions. Thank you for joining me live, and I will answer them as best I can. Eddie asks, do you ever watch ARS? I do. Alberto has a brilliant channel both on Instagram and on YouTube. He does a lot, and I'm always impressed with his content and how it helps keepers. So yeah, I'm always a big fan of ARS goalkeeping and what he does on his channel. How old were you when you started watching what you eat, as in diet? I mean, I always ate pretty well. I was lucky that my family, my mum was a very good cook. She made us eat very well from an early age. But I think I first started kind of knowing more about nutrition and watching what I eat when I went to Loughborough. I learned a lot about nutrition there, and that really kind of helped me to learn about my diet. I remember when I was about 15, I used to think that salads would help me grow because I wasn't the tallest keeper. So I just used to eat salads all the time because I thought salad's healthy. But obviously, you need carbohydrates, you need your nutrition from your vegetables and your fruits, you need your protein, you need a balanced diet. And I wasn't eating in a balanced way because I had a skewed thought about what was healthy for me. But probably when I was about 18, became a pro, 19, went to Loughborough. Around then, I had a better idea about what I would need nutritionally. So probably researching a bit earlier and not just relying on my parents would have been a good idea, because you can at 14, 15, 16 start to learn about what is better to be eating and what will help you as an athlete. Thoughts on Andre Onana? Unbelievable keeper. I haven't watched much of him this year. Watched him a lot, obviously, last year when Ajax had that run in the Champions League. Some unbelievable saves. His distribution is very good. Can see that he was brought up at Barcelona with how comfortable he is with the ball at his feet. Big presence, and his technique, some of his saves are ridiculous. I remember one he made just before the goal, just before the Tottenham goal, one of the saves he made last year in the semi-final. I think they followed it up to score, but incredible save, brilliant keeper. I'm in the off season, need to get to my best catch up to be able to start. What would be the most important thing to work on in the off season? Off season is the time to improve the things that you haven't really got the time to improve in the season, when you've got game after game after game. So have a look at your game, have a look at some of your footage from last season. Do you need to improve your speed, your power, your kicking distance? Maybe you need to start doing more gym work that you weren't able to do in the season. You have to analyse your game and have a look what are the weaknesses that you need to make the most improvements on. That's a great time to focus on that during the off season. What do you think of the S1 gloves? I've never used S1, a lot of people do, but obviously, as you guys know, I wear Calia gloves, and they've been brilliant for me. And you guys can get a pair and use the discount code O'Keefe if you fancy 10% off. Currently injured, hope to be back next 2 or 3 weeks. What motivates you when you're coming back from an injury? Good question, Aaron. For injuries, I did a video on injuries in Series 2 of Keeping Goals when I had a bad shoulder injury last year. In that video, I talked about how injuries give you the opportunity to look at things that you probably wouldn't when you're fit. So watching your tape, watching other pros, developing mentally, developing other areas of yourself physically, obviously doing your rehab. I found when I was injured, I was probably as busy, if not more busy, than I was when I was playing, just because there was so much that I wanted to improve on that didn't involve my injury and that I don't normally focus on. So again, have a look at yourself as a goalkeeper, have a look what you do in the season and what you may want to improve on. You may want to watch some pros, go and watch them play, watch their training sessions, pick up things like that, watch your old games, see things that you need to improve on. Loads of things that you can learn when you're injured, and obviously doing your rehab day after day to try and get back to where you were before. Next question. How do you keep your head in a penalty shootout? I always panic. Penalty shootouts are the best, Sam. They're great. You're not under any pressure. No one expects you to save them, and it's an opportunity for you to win the game. I love penalty shootouts. They're great. So go into it excited to show what you can do and just commit where you believe the penalty's going to go. Go all out. Where do you plan in 2 to 3 years? Good question, Jeff. 2 to 3 years, I hope to be playing. How old will I be then? 26, 27. Whoa. By then, I hope that I'm playing at a high level. I hope that I'm performing week in, week out, that I'm showing people what I can do. I hope that I'm continuing to improve. But yeah, 26, 27, starting to reach that kind of peak years for a goalkeeper. I hope that I'm demonstrating that in my game, wherever I'm playing. Saw someone say, would I ever play in Ireland? I'd love to play in Ireland, so yeah, maybe one day. I want to see you play in England soon. Fletch, good question. Well, not even a question, but yeah, I will be playing in England sometime in the future. I'm not sure when. Do you have a pre-game routine? I have a routine that I do in terms of, this is good with the next question about what music I listen to. I have a visualization routine. So basically, before games, I have a playlist that I listen to, and I go through visualization techniques in order to try and prepare myself in a mindset for the game. So in terms of the sacrifices I've made to get to where I am today, visualizing all the things that I've worked on and all the things that I've done well throughout my career, visualizing my best performances, visualizing how the game's going to go today, and all of that is accompanied by a different song. And that's a lot of my routine in terms of before I get to the ground. Once I get to the ground, obviously I'm getting my kit ready, I'm doing my warm up and etc., and I'm kind of into the flow of the game. But visualization of music is a big part. Am I eligible for the Irish national team? I am. Through my dad's side of the family are all Irish, so yes, I am eligible for Ireland. I had a Republic of Ireland scout come and watch me when I was 15, but unfortunately when I was 15 he said I was too small, so it's a bit difficult. But having met and trained with Shay Given, who I am the same height of as, then it's obviously something that I don't believe to be true. Next question. Who do you think the best goalkeeper in the world is? For me, Marc-Andre ter Stegen is the best keeper in the world. He's incredible. Closely followed by Ederson and Oblak. When your defence doesn't perform and concede goals, how tall were you at the age of 16? I think I was probably about the same height as I am now. I don't think I've grown that much. Maybe a little bit shorter, but probably I'm 182 now. When I was 16, probably about maybe 176, 177, something like that. Most overrated keeper? Ooh, that's a good question. But with the so I can't call out people for being overrated, really. I think people are struggling who are at high clubs, but I don't think there's anyone overrated, because to get to that level, they're all incredible. Keep shooting your questions in, and I will try and answer as many as I can. I do have training later on, so I'll keep going. Is it hard to, when your defence doesn't perform and you can see goals from it? Yes, it is difficult, but it's also an opportunity for you to show what you can do. If you're in a team where they concede a lot of chances, that just means you're going to be very, very busy. So, okay, people might do things wrong and it might expose you, but at the same time, that's an opportunity for you to show what you can do. So if I'm conceding goals, I'm not going to blame my defence or my team, because at the same time, I've still conceded the goal. So there's things that I need to improve too. So if you can learn and get better, no matter how many chances you concede, being busy is always a good thing for you to demonstrate how you are as a goalkeeper. When will you do a motivational video for us keepers to motivate ourselves? Chetan, I'm not really sure what you mean by a motivational video. A lot of people say this, and for me, it's not. Do you mean about myself? Do you mean about other goalkeepers? Let me know what you mean about a motivational video, because I don't really understand. I'm now at 180 centimeters as a 16-year-old. Is this small or average? Wenati, don't worry about your height. The amount of questions I get and messages I get, which is like, I'm this tall at this age, is this good? It doesn't matter. Your height does not matter. You can't control your height. Your height will come. Sorry, I just got a phone call. Your height will come naturally. You have to concentrate on what you can concentrate on, which is your goalkeeping, your technique, all the elements of goalkeeping that you can get better at. That's what you need to concentrate on, not your height, because you can't do anything about your height. Tips for young keepers: try and get better every day. Learn, improve. Try and get better in all areas of your goalkeeping, at least 1% each day. Going for an ice bath now. Good luck, Fletch. Hope that's beneficial. Is that because you've just done some training or just because you like having an ice bath? What age should you learn the side volley technique? Practice every technique. Practice your throw-in, your side volleys, your half volleys. Don't just practice side volleys because they're popular. Practice every distribution technique that you can in order to try and get better. But any age you want. Good. I'm glad that you did it after training. Hopefully it'll help. How do you keep your confidence even when you're playing poorly? Lewis, focus on your improvement. Improvement is the killer of doubt. So if you can see yourself getting better, even if it's 1% on something each day, even when you're playing badly, that will get rid of any doubt you have or any negative feeling that you have. So focus on learning and improving, even when you're in a rough spell, and hopefully that will help you to come out of it. What football team do you support? Paul, I'm a Man United fan, always have been. They're my team. Good diet for a 13-year-old. Just clean. All your major food groups, you want a balanced diet of proteins, carbohydrates, vegetables, all that kind of stuff. You'll be able to do a lot of research, but as long as you're eating well and cleanly and in balance, that's the best diet you should have. How often do you get new gloves? I normally wear about a pair a month, so I normally have a match pair and a training pair for a month, and then after a month I'll put my match pair to my training pair and I'll get a new match pair. So that's normally how I go through my gloves. I'm gonna love your channel, your help has been awesome, and wish you the best. Thank you very much. This Saturday is going to be my debut and I'm 18. Good luck for the debut, enjoy it. Just go out there and have fun, don't worry about a thing. You've earned the opportunity from the work that you've done, and you've played hundreds of football games, so go and trust yourself in the situations that occur. Don't go chasing the game, and go and have fun. I'm not sorry, I couldn't understand that. Would you recommend going for open trials? Yes, Owain, open trials are good. You just have to be careful who they're with. A lot of companies do open trials where you have to pay and not many people come and watch and things like that. It's a bit of a scam. So you have to try and have a look and see if they're a well-known company that do open trials, that they have real connections and not just the ones they say they have. But if you think it's a good opportunity, then go and do it, because meeting people and developing your reputation amongst footballing coaches and scouts and agents is always a good idea. So if you have the opportunity to go and it's a solid, legit opportunity, then go and give it a go. How do I ever convince my parents that my gloves don't last a year? I don't know. Maybe show them to them, or even better, get them to put them on and try and catch a ball, because after a year I know my gloves would be absolutely wrecked. But have a look at the Calea gloves. I know I go on about it, but in my videos I put the link to Calea in all the descriptions. The gloves are unbelievable quality and very, very good price. So go and have a look on their website, and remember, use the discount code O'Keefe, get 10% off as well. But for the quality of the gloves, they're £30-40 compared to Adidas's 80, 90, £100. So, and they're even better in my opinion. So go and have a look on their website. Best way to get noticed: Sam playing well consistently, performing week in, week out. That's the best way for people to notice you as a footballer. Remember me from Insta. Jack, nice to see you. Who's the best player you've played against? Ashraf Hakimi. I trained with him, technically didn't play against him, but unbelievable player. Do you have a boot sponsorship? No, I don't. What happened to Hedera? A lot of people are asking what happened to Hedera. In terms of Hedera, I really loved the gloves. They were very, very good gloves. The company were always brilliant to work with. I've got nothing but good things to say about Hedera, but having tried the Calea gloves, the KA goalkeeping gloves, they were better for me as a goalkeeper. So as a professional decision, they helped me more, the fit, the cut, all these kind of things. So that's why I decided to go to Calea. But the Hedera gloves are very, very good. The people there are very good, but for me, the Calio gloves were better for me as a goalkeeper, so that's why I decided to change the gloves that I was with. A few more questions. Should I start going to the gym as a 16-year-old? Yes, you can. Have a look at gym workouts for younger athletes, but there's no reason why you shouldn't be. Make sure that you're doing the sets and the reps correctly. Make sure your form is good. Don't try and whack on too much weight because of your ego, especially when you're younger. Make sure that you're being coached properly, or you're with someone that knows what they're doing, so that you're doing the actions correctly in order to develop what you want to develop. Don't just go in there and chuck loads of weight on, because you can see older people doing that, because that's how you get injuries. Make sure you do the actual movements correctly so that it can benefit your game. Would you come to League of Ireland? Yeah, definitely. Would love to play in Ireland one day. I've got a lot of family in Ireland, so I'd love to play in Ireland. I had some conversations with Irish clubs, but nothing came of it in the last summer. But yeah, would love to play in Ireland one day. Who do you think the best goalkeeper of all time? Oh, great question. In my lifetime, the goalkeepers that I love to watch: Edwin van der Sar was unbelievable, Petr Cech, brilliant, Iker Casillas, unbelievable. Nowadays, Ter Stegen, Oblak, Ederson, Alisson. I loved Oliver Kahn when I was a kid. Tim Howard, when he was at United, was my hero, even though it wasn't probably the best stage of his career. He was a brilliant keeper. So many good goalkeepers. Manuel Neuer, of course. Joe Hart. Unbelievable keepers. I don't know who the best of history is, but in my lifetime, I loved watching Van der Sar and Cech. They were probably, when I was a kid, the ones that I thought were the best. Who's your favourite United player? At the minute, my favourite United player. I like Martial a lot. I like De Gea a lot, obviously. Maguire, Wan-Bissaka. I'll tell you something. One of my favourite United players of all time, which I don't think I've actually said before, Alan Smith. A lot of you probably won't even know who Alan Smith was, or that he played for United. But Alan Smith, in 2005, I had a poster of Alan Smith on my wall, which probably says a lot about me, because he is not the flashiest of player, but some of his 50-50 tackles, his goals, he just was a player that gave everything, and I loved that. And Alan Smith, when I was a kid, was my favourite Man United player, which was probably in the era of Van Nistelrooy, Rooney, all these, Ronaldo, all these players. Alan Smith as your favourite is probably a little bit weird, but he was. What do you like most about Gibraltar football? Good question. Gibraltar, I quite like the fact that it's very closed. So obviously it's a small place, there's not many teams, you all play in the same stadium, everyone knows each other. I quite like that because you obviously know how other people are getting on, you can see what's happening in the league, you know the players. I quite like that kind of competitiveness of it being a very small pond. I love the stadium that we play on, unbelievable stadium. I like competing against the top teams, the teams that have been in the Europa League, the Champions League, these top players that play international football for Gibraltar. I like testing myself against them. So there's a lot of things that I like about Gibraltarian football. But yeah, I'm enjoying it playing here. Would you ever go to German football? Love to go to Germany. I feel like that's a country I've not really considered, but it's somewhere that I could learn a lot from, especially in terms of goalkeeping. The goalkeepers there, they produce are unbelievable. Pardon me. Are you going to go watch Gibraltar, Switzerland? I'm not sure. I haven't bought tickets. I'll try. I'll have a look if I can get some. Do you wear different clothes for artificial turf? Any recommendations? No, I just wear the Calio gloves. They have good durability on the artificial ground. Consider playing in League of Ireland? Yes, love to play in Ireland, said that a few times. If you weren't a keeper, where would you play? Good question, Jeff. I played a season at Sunday League in centre midfield and scored 20 goals. Had an absolute worldie. Scored 7 goals in a game once from centre midfield, which was a bit of a ridiculous game. I enjoyed playing centre midfield, but I ran absolutely everywhere. I'd be 1 minute left wing, 1 minute right back. I wasn't very controlled in my movement, so probably centre midfield, but I wouldn't play very, very well there. What do you think of Kyle Walker yesterday? Clean sheet, wasn't it? Did very, very well. What's your best save? Good question. There's a save I made. It's on my Instagram way back. There's a save I made from a free kick at Loughborough Uni against Cov United, and it was in the time where I was considering giving up football because of this horrible stuff going on and not enjoying it. And I made an unbelievable save from a free kick, and that was one from God just telling me to carry on. So that's one of my favourites. If you scroll right back on my Instagram, you'll have a look at that. Which company sponsors you, Keith? I'm sponsored by Calliot, formerly KA Goalkeeping. The link to their website is in all my videos, and their gloves are unbelievable quality. So if you fancy them, go and get a pair and use the discount code O'Keefe for 10% off. City Liverpool score predictions. As a United fan, don't really want either of them to do well, but at the minute it's very hard to watch. I'd kind of like City to win because for me, I just really don't want Liverpool to win the league, so hopefully City win. Most memorable moment as a goalkeeper. I got a lot. I'm sorry, I can't pick one. Did you ever do boxing? I did kickboxing for a little bit. My Frankie's just coming in the door. Sorry, I'm just on the live. It's okay. I did kickboxing for a little bit because my dad did kickboxing. So, but no, never did boxing. Got a match tonight in the rain. Just concentrate on the ball. Watch the ball all the time. Move your feet as much as you can because when you're in the rain, that's when it's most difficult. How do you deal with abuse from opposition fans? Good question. I had one game where I was playing in the FA Vars against Uttoxeter, and they threw a bag of onions at me. That was one of my games, and they had the St George's flag with O'Keefe is at, and then a very rude word in the next section. So you just have to get on with it. In that game, I tried to challenge them a bit, so I think we scored an equaliser. I turned around, celebrated in front of them. That wasn't a good idea. So from then on, I've always had, whenever I've had abuse from fans, which happens quite a lot in non-league football in England, I've just ignored it. Just do not engage with it. If they say something funny and you say something funny back, that normally wins them over. But yeah, abuse from fans is a part of the game, and you have to kind of get on with it, enjoy it. I quite like the competitiveness and the challenge of it, so use it to spur you on to play well, and then when the whistle goes, just give them a nice clap at the end when you keep a clean sheet. Sprained wrist, give you some advice, Jack. Go and see a physio if you can. I'm not medically trained, so go and see a physio and see what they say. Follow what they say to the letter. Non-league football, one of you asked what non-league football is. In England, you obviously have the Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two. All the football divisions below that, it's called non-league. So at Loughborough, my university team, we also played in non-league as well as the university league. So that's what I meant by non-league football. What do you intend to do after the Gibraltar League? I'm not sure. Obviously, as a professional, my career will take me wherever the opportunity comes. So I'm not sure whether that will be in Gibraltar or in a different country, etc. In these times, obviously January transfer window and summer transfer window, you never really know what's going to happen, but that is quite exciting at the same time. Holding a training day in the summer where everyone can meet and train, exchange tips. Yes, great question. I am looking to do a Keeping Goals day next summer in Manchester. That's something that I'm going to try and plan to do so that I can meet as many of you as possible. Obviously, I haven't organised it yet, still very, very early days, but that's something that I'd love to do so that I can meet as many as you as we can, and obviously try and share tips and do some training together and nutrition and kit and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's something that I'm hoping to do next summer. KSI or Logan Paul? Great question. I don't know. You can't force yourself again. How tall are you in feet? I'm 5'7". A lot of questions about height. Don't worry about your height. There's nothing you can do about it. Try and get better at all the other things. If you become a pro in one of the top leagues, we still do Keeping Goals. Good question, Logan. I'd love to keep doing it. Obviously, it's a little bit difficult when you're at the very top because there's some things that you can't show, but I'm sure that there would be some form of Keeping Goals in some way or another, but it's a long way in the future. What traits do you like in a centre-back? Good question. I like a centre-back that works with me in terms of instructing, communicating, gives me instruction when I've got the ball, gives me help in terms of information. all that kind of stuff. That's what I like as a centre back, and also someone who's obviously comfortable on the ball, comfortable with me giving the ball, but also someone that trusts me, will play with me if we have the ball, and also obviously wants to keep a clean sheet and defend the goal as best as he can, same as myself. Right, couple more questions and then I need to go because I have training this evening. So, how do you clean your gloves? I did a whole video on cleaning my gloves in series 2 of Keeping Goals. I basically, after a training or a match, I'll take them in the shower with me, use a nail brush, lightly one direction to try and clean off all the dirt and all the mud and the rubber or whatever. And then I've also, fortunately now, with Callier, got a Callier glove spray which I put in my gloves and clean, and then wring them out gently so as not to break the latex. I just saw the free kick save from top. Thank you, mate. I'm glad that you went back to watch it. Proud being in Gibraltar team, very proud. Enjoying my time here, and I'm proud of all the things that I've experienced and all the things that I've had the opportunity to do. Extension cut. I'm trying a pair of extension cuts soon from Callier. Hopefully they're on their way. So that's something that I'm going to try because I've never tried them before. Just got turned down for being 180. Ignore it. Just become the best keeper you can possibly be, and then go back to them, and then they'll eat their words. Heard of Shamrock Rovers? Yes, of course. Right, last question. Someone send me a good question before I go. Send me an interesting question. 3G in Gibraltar different to 3G in England? No, no difference. What was the best team you have ever contact with? Not sure what you mean by that, Lawrence. Most underrated keeper. Protein, yeah, protein after training is important. You need protein to build back the muscles. Come on, give us a good one. Opinions on VAR. That's an interesting question. VAR, I think it has the potential to be used well, and in the moment, it's very, very new. So, in terms of problems, it's obviously very difficult, but hopefully with more use it will get better. I think obviously taking too much time out of the game is the worst thing about it. What was being at the Bernabeu like? Oh, Matthew, good question. After Game Changers on Netflix. Okay, last two questions. Bernabeu, unbelievable. One of the best experiences of my life. Going to the Bernabeu, had a police escort through Madrid on the team bus. Got to the Bernabeu, walked out, all the lights were on, it was raining. It was so high, you could barely see the top tier. My team played incredibly well, got a 2-2 draw, met Gareth Bale. Just being part of a matchday squad at the Bernabeu was unbelievable, and hopefully next time that I go I'll actually be playing, but yeah, incredible. And second question, Game Changers documentary on Netflix. I did watch it, very, very interesting, very informative. Like all of these things, probably slightly biased, but if you can read both sides of the argument, you get a good idea as to what would work for you. As an athlete, I'm not a vegetarian, I'm not vegan, but having watched that documentary and read other things, I have seen the importance of having less meat in my diet. For the last probably couple of years, I've tried to make sure that instead of having meat in every lunch, every dinner, I have at least 4 or 5 meals a week where I don't have any meat, I don't eat meat, because I think there's benefits in terms of the environment, which meat is one of the most difficult things in terms of the negative effects on the environment, in terms of how it's farmed, but also as an athlete, I feel like there are some benefits of eating more vegetables, eating a more vegan or vegetarian diet. So I'm eating less meat, but I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan as a result of watching that documentary. If you haven't watched it, go and give it a watch, see what it does for you, but read both sides of the argument. That's what I'd suggest. But very, very interesting, and I found that having eaten less meat, I do feel a lot cleaner. I don't know how to explain it. As an athlete, it does make you feel a little bit more fresh, a little bit more less tired, less lackadaisical, and I think that definitely helps. Okay, that's it. thank you for watching this week's episode of the Keeping Goals Live Q&A. I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question. Make sure you come back next week if I didn't, and I'll try my best to answer it. But thank you for watching. There will be a new episode of Keeping Goals on Sunday. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for your response to the last two. I'm glad that so many of you have enjoyed it. If you haven't watched them, go back and give them a watch. But thank you for watching. Have a great week. Keep chasing improvement. If you haven't already, come and join the Keeping Goals Facebook group, become a patron on the Patreon page, all that kind of stuff. But make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. But thank you for watching. Have a good week, and I'll see you on Sunday for the next episode of Keeping Goals. Speak to you in a bit.